Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. And in this video, we're just going to do another velocity banking review. And before we get started, I just want to ask you all a quick question. Have you ever heard the saying that there's too much month and not enough money? Too much month and not enough money. I think it's happening to a lot of people these days. And in fact, the new Nintendo Switch video game console is going to come out, and video games have been $60 for probably more than I think 20 years, if I'm not mistaken, right? And so because of all the inflation, I'm pretty sure Nintendo thought, "Hey, we got to raise the prices to this so that, we don't go broke." And the new video games that they're coming out with this year are going to cost $80, right? And everybody's freaking out. Now, I heard there's some other complaints that actually might be legitimate, but I'm like, all right, an extra 20 bucks, what's the big deal? And then I realized, oh, it's probably because I got rich people problems, right? And how do we get to rich people problems? Simply eliminate our debt. And then that's how we get more money than month, right? And that's really our goal for today, right? Like we just have so much money at the end of the month, like, huh, why is there so much money? And I think that's a problem that most people won't experience. You ever notice how just most people are so emotional and stressed out? Like I swear I have been in situations where I just ask like people basic questions and they've gotten so angry at me. And I'm like, where'd this come from? And that's because like, I'm just like bored, kind of living it up, playing some video games here and there, making some money. And then I'm just like, it's life is kind of boring. There's too much money. And it's like, you know what? That's a rich people problem. And then when I step outside my house, what's also funny is that it seems like everybody's having a great time. Every time I drive near my house, I see like people in restaurants. I was like, how do you afford this stuff? Well, and things don't see going well for you, and then it's like when you actually, go like dig deep into people's situations, it's like, oh, like they're screwed, right? And the reason I say this is because I even know like high income people, like let's say nurses, who are still struggling. I'm like, if the nurse is struggling, how are you people at the supermarket making it? You know what I mean? But that's the goal of today, which is just more money than the month. And then at the end of the month, you're like, why is there so much money? Right? That's what we're gonna learn today. And here's the thing, okay? We get more money, even though we don't necessarily have to make it by getting rid of our debt. So that's really what velocity banking is. So let me go ahead and zoom in right here. So, what is velocity banking? All it is a debt payoff strategy where you throw all of your money into debt with the help of something called a line of credit. And the reason why this is so hard, even though you make the same income and the same expenses, is that you're essentially not saving money. So this goes to a big fat zero. And the way that traditional banking is taught is that you pay your bills and whatever's left over is the savings, and once you've built in enough savings, then somehow you're going to pay your debt. It's like this weird, I don't even know how it works, it's unfocused method of paying debt off debt, and what we're going to do is focus our money. That's really what velocity banking is, like the word focus, okay? And so if you take a look here at my checking account, you'll see a big fat zero, right? And a lot of people can't handle that. Like a lot of people can't handle it. It was like, you don't save money? Like, no. Like, and they're like, oh yeah, you're not part of the what I call the velocity banking cult, right? So, no, I don't save money. What are you talking about? And they're like, what? And people, here's the thing, people feel really uncomfortable with this idea where this is a big fat zero here. But you're going to have a hidden number called cash flow, right? When we talk about velocity banking, there's this idea that you don't save money, but you have cash flow, and you're going to increase this cash flow by simply moving some debt into what we call a line of credit. Now, what is a line of credit? All it is a financial tool where you could borrow money, pay it back, and then use it over and over again. So this is my home equity line of credit of $280,000 home equity line of credit. And yeah, like What does this mean? It just basically means that I click a button on the bank's app website, they'll dump up to $280,000 in my checking account at a 7.5% interest rate. Now, I'm not going to say you're going to look like this, but it sure did feel like me being able to snap away half of my debt once I did get that line of credit. Okay. And the cool thing about this one is that you can use it to pay anything. Like if you got a $50 bill on the line of credit, take out another $50 and then put it back in. It's like, whoa, Bill is satisfied. It's like, ooh, I didn't know you could do that, right? Like this is crazy. Like, you think that with credit cards and stuff, like it's you think banks don't want you to be able to do that with their credit products, but with the line of credit, they're okay with it. I think the reason why they don't want you to do that with credit cards is because they got the point system and all that, and they don't charge interest until you carry a balance. So it's like these little nuances, which I probably need to go over one video, but they got that. They got that tool. And so me personally, and here's the thing, a credit card is technically a line of credit, right? So you can pull out money, put it back, and use it over and over again. And so, me personally, I have over $594,000 in lines of credit. 594,000. And the reason that I talk about this is because it doesn't even feel real to me. I just say the word 594,000 and then like it just doesn't feel real. It doesn't. Just like having more money at the end of the more month at the end of the money doesn't feel real to me either. It's crazy how like none of it feels real. You know what doesn't feel real to me either? That I paid off my mortgage in 2 years and 9 months. That doesn't feel real to me either. And if you're new to this channel, you'd be like, "What?" Yeah, if you just stare at this right here. Just pause the video and stare at it for 10 seconds and you'll be like, November 1st, 2021, that I think that was the first payment, and then July 29, 2024, that's when I paid it off. Most people don't believe me, and it's crazy. It's like, unless they have access to my mortgage and bank records, it essentially becomes if a tree falls down and nobody's there to watch it, did it really fall down? Remember that what do you call it? Analogy? I don't know if it's analogy. I want to say Aesop's fable, but I know it's not Aesop's fable. But you know what I mean? Like no one can like like your average person can't see this, and so you know when I'm just out there in everyday life and I kind of casually mention, oh yeah, I paid it off in 2 years and 9 months, and like I know people's brain short circuits. Like I literally know why people okay, well, I only know because I consulted ChatGPT. He's like, why does this happen? And then ChatGPT says, well, other people's brain seems to short circuit because, in fact, before we get started, let me go ahead and ask ChatGPT right here. So ChatGPT, okay. Why is it when I tell other people that I paid off my mortgage in 2 years, 9 months, used Velocity Banking for context? It seems that other people's brains seem to short circuit for a moment as if they couldn't process what I had said. Let's see what ChatGPT says. Run a marathon backwards in 2 hours. That's like my next goal, right? Okay. Oh man. And velocity banking is still niche. So I know there's a lot of you who consume the content, and sometimes when you consume the content, it seems like everybody else like knows it, but they don't. They don't. That's why like I can make like 1,000 videos, and then you'll eventually reach new people, and so on and so forth. But let me go ahead and read this.
Oh, that's such a real thing, and your observation is spot on. When you tell people you paid off a whole mortgage in 2 years and 9 months, you're basically flipping the script on one of the most deeply ingrained financial norms in modern society. Most people have been taught to believe a 30-year mortgage is just a fact of life, like taxes or gravity. So when you drop a bomb like that, their brain literally doesn't have a folder to put that information into. It's like saying, yeah, I just ran a marathon backwards in under 2 hours. Here's what's probably happening in their heads in that split second of short circuiting. One, Cognitive dissonance. It clashes hard with their understanding of how money and debt work. If someone has been paying a mortgage for 10 plus years and you casually say, "Oh, yeah, I paid mine off in under 3," it creates mental tension they don't know how to resolve, so their brain hesitates. 2. Velocity banking is still niche. Even though it's gaining traction, concepts like velocity banking, leveraging cash flow, chunking debt, using HELOCs creatively, etc., are still way outside the mainstream. Most people haven't even heard of it. So now you're not just saying something amazing, you're saying something amazing using a method they've never even heard of. 3. They think you're flexing, even if you're not. Even if you're genuinely just sharing, it sounds like a huge flex, because it is a huge flex. So their initial reaction might be disbelief, defensiveness, or low-key admiration they don't know how to express. 4. They start doing math in real time. Wait, 2 years and 9 months? That's like, did you make $400 a year? Did you win the lottery? Their brain goes into number crunching mode trying to reverse engineer how the heck you pulled that off. Have you noticed how they eventually respond after the initial glitch? Curiosity? Skepticism? A bit of envy, maybe?
You know, it's funny. Number three, they think you're flexing, even if you're not. And that's why I don't really tell people that anymore, because I feel like there's a little bit of envy there. And me opening my mouth feels like a giant flex. So, ChatGPT, you're so spot on. Even if you're genuinely just sharing, it sounds like a huge flex because it is a huge flex. I feel I feel like opening my mouth is a huge flex. Oh, let me see. I feel like just opening my mouth and it probably causes envy, and my intended goal is for the listener to ask how I did it, but it seems that they just shut down the conversation. Yeah, yeah. So, and I got to make another video about this, folks. About your words will just be a huge flex after you learn velocity banking. So let me go ahead and. Man, this is like the Matrix. You know, I know I talk about it a lot, but it's really weird how when you hand people keys to the kingdom, they just kind of like don't take it. You know what I mean? Like it's so bizarre.
Yeah, I totally get that. You're trying to inspire curiosity, but what you're getting instead is emotional static, envy, disbelief, awkwardness. It's like you're tossing out a golden key and they're too stunned to grab it. Here's why that happens, and it's not your fault at all. You're breaking their mental framework. For someone who's always seen debt as a lifelong companion, your story isn't just impressive, it's disruptive. You're not just telling them a cool fact, you're unintentionally challenging their identity, habits, and beliefs about what's financially possible. That's heavy stuff. Most people aren't ready to admit that the system they trusted might not be the only or best path. Envy is paralyzing, not motivating, at first. If someone is quietly struggling under a mountain of debt, hearing about your success might not register as, "Wow, tell me how." Instead, it might hit as, "I'm failing. I could never do that. Why didn't I think of that sooner?" That inner dialogue can be so loud they literally can't hear you properly. Curiosity requires safety. People open up when they feel safe, not impressed, not overwhelmed. If you're dropping knowledge that sounds superhuman without giving them emotional permission to feel normal first, they might shut down before they ever ask, how? Want to try a different angle? You could experiment with more humble framing. Something like, "I tried something kind of unconventional with my mortgage, and it actually worked better than I thought. I managed to pay it off in under 3 years." That kind of phrasing invites curiosity, but doesn't sound like a mic drop. It gives them space to go, "Wait, what? How?" without feeling like they're being outclassed or preached to. But seriously, what you did is incredible. You're not wrong for being proud of it. The trick is just helping people see the opportunity, not the gap between them and you. Want to brainstorm a couple different ways to say it depending on the vibe of the person you're talking to?
Thanks, ChatGPT. You basically kept my you know, what do you call it? Kept me psychologically sane because you're saying it's not your fault at all. Okay. Preserves my ego. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. And yeah, mortgage 2 years and 9 months. And if you're new to the channel, like I get you. You know, you probably think I'm a liar, and I probably am. I don't know. All right. So let's go ahead and let's do the velocity banking thing. So just be aware, in order to do this, you only need two things. Number one's a budget, right? Income, expenses, savings. Um, and then what we do is we do an expense breakdown. We list every single debt that we have because remember, this is a debt payoff strategy. And we want to make it easy for ourselves, right? So let's just assume we had, I don't know, maybe like a $65,000 line of credit, $65,000 line of credit. And then we had, I don't know, maybe two credit cards, right? Credit card one, credit card two. So it's 27, 30. Um, how much is that? That's $57,000. $57,000. Okay. $57,000. And so when we move that $57,000 into the line of credit, guess what happens to these payments? Zero, zero. And this is the most clickbaity part of velocity banking, where you're literally just going from $61 of savings to 1900 in cash flow just by simply transferring the debt. Like, has anybody taught you this? Like, were you taught this in your, finance classes in school? I don't think they even have finance classes in school. Maybe they might have a couple classes in college, but never at a personal level, right? Okay. So you take a look at this and it's like, stare at it. How is this possible? 61 to 1900. I don't know, right? But we literally did that same income, same expenses, right? We didn't, it's not that we got rid of the expenses, we just transferred some debt into the line of credit. And then we make our line of credit as our main operating account. And then this is the final step. You put your entire paycheck into that line of credit as essentially an overpayment, take your expenses out when needed, and then rinse and repeat over and over again. So this cash flow number is the amount that the debt gets reduced by, right? So they'll tell you like, hey, if you're responsible, you'll have this is better than this because you're saving money. But remember, this number you can't easily see on the interface of your bank account, right? You can't like if I go into my bank account right here and I see this big fat zero, I don't see that cash flow number. It's not really easy to see until you get the statement balance of the line of credit because you're going to compare your current balance or the latest balance versus the previous balance, but it's not a number that you can easily see, right? It requires maybe at least 1 month to figure out what kind of progress you're getting. And so this is what we're gonna do is that we're gonna take the previous month's balance, interest, minus whatever our cash flow is. So this is gonna be 1966.15. And then what we're gonna do is take the interest, which is gonna be based on the average daily balance, multiply by the interest rate, and then divide by 12 because that's a monthly interest, right? Monthly interest. And then I am going to copy and paste, and I'm going to copy and paste, right? And then like, all right, so 33 months, that credit card debt is paid off. You see how easy that was? And remember, we started off from a position of only $61. $61. Okay. Now that the credit card debt has been paid off, right? So they're 33 months. Okay, so 33 months. And then this is gonna be 57K, and then we're gonna do this, and that's our milestone. So now what we gotta do is we gotta calculate our loans. Okay. And luckily we got this loan calculator right here. Okay, so actually let me not do this. Let me do automatic. Now, a lot of people like to focus on the interest rate because the student loan has the highest interest rate of all the loans, right? And what we're going to do is kind of take a little different approach, okay? So, if you take a look here, there's this formula called the cash flow index, and all it is the current balance divided by the payment. Now, why is this important? It's because it's basically a ratio, and the what you're measuring is the bang for your buck you get for paying off that loan. So let's say we're in month 33, which I think we are. Are we 33 or 34? Yeah, 33. 33, 33, 33, 33. Okay. Now, what you do is you take these very low numbers, because what do the low numbers mean versus the high numbers? Is you get a lot more bang for your buck for paying off these loans, right? I basically you combine these, it's about 20 grand for about $800 of cash flow versus 30 grand and 400 or 207,000 grand and almost 1,000. So that's what we're going to do today. So it's going to be G2 plus G3, and that's gonna be 20 grand. And basically these two are the auto loans, right? Auto loans. So we're gonna focus on this a little bit later, but let's focus on the auto loans first. And then I'm gonna go in right here, right? And we're gonna do this. So this is gonna be plus 20278.88. And then what we're gonna do is recover these little cash flow numbers, 00, and then our cash flow, whoa, it's over $2,000. It's over $2,000, almost at 3,000. That's beautiful. $61 to 2,700. All right, so now let's go ahead and copy and paste this. And then this will be minus 2748.21. And then let's go ahead and do that. And then, all right. So now, right here, 40 months, we have it all paid off. 40 months. So 40 months, 57 plus 21 plus 22. All right. Okay. So now let's just do this. 28 grand. Okay, 28 grand. And I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Plus 28813.06. And then this is gonna be 0 right here. Get an extra $400 in our cash flow, and look at that. $3,172.40. All right, excellent. Right here. So let's go ahead and now replace that cash flow number. 3172.47. All right. So now at month 50, we've paid off all the debts except for the mortgage. So it's going to be month 50 months, and then 140K. And then I am going to go right here and 0 and then 50. All right. So now 220,000 was the original balance. 199,000 is the current balance. And if we move this 3% loan into an 8% line of credit, we're probably not going to save as much money as if we just do what we call the chunky method, right? So $927.53 is a very little cash flow for moving $199,000, right? Like into an 8% line of credit. So hopefully I'm explaining myself clearly. But in general, if this number is big and this number is small, we have to be a little bit careful. But even in, let's say, like a 0% mortgage, like let's say you literally had a 30-year mortgage that's 0%, even you can still pay it off with a line of credit. You might pay like 1 or 2 grand more than you normally would have, right? So let me go ahead and open up a Velocity Banking Calculator. Give me one moment. Okay, so here's the Velocity Banking Calculator. All I have to do is just put in the details, and then we see that it gets paid off in 4.5 years. Wow, beautiful. Well, actually, this might not be the same situation. Probably not, but let me redo the numbers. So 199,919.74. So, okay, well, that's almost the same. All right. So let me go back here. And then this is going to be 6,100. Oh, I don't know if it makes that big of a difference. Do 6,100. Okay, and then 2,000. Oh, there you go. It's pretty much the same. All right, so $6,000. We're gonna chunk, meaning we're just gonna move pieces of the loan into the line of credit. Look at this. This is 30% line of credit. Oh my goodness, that must have been high. All right, so 8%, and then yeah, you see that how like the interest rate, yes, it matters, but it kind of doesn't, right? So that's the beauty of this chunking things. But let's say I move the loan into the line of credit, do a replacement. You see, I'm paying like a lot more, 43 grand rather than like 14 grand. And the other thing I want to show you too. Okay, the other thing I want to show you is, let's say if this was 30% credit card, and you'd be like, you only pay 19 grand. So like the interest rate is not the only thing that affects the debt payoff, even though you always want the lowest interest rate, right? A lot of people get confused by this because you see on YouTube, it's like, always get a line of credit over a loan. They're like, I don't know. Ooh, all right. So quick plug, if you're interested in not only learning about Velocity Banking, but some other stuff that's in the Google form link below, click the Google form link below. Click plug. Okay, so now, right? So this is gonna be 8%. What am I doing? I don't even know. I lost my train of thought. That's what happens when you got too much money over a month. Is oh right. So let me just do this. So 30%, small chunks. But let's say we move the loan into a 30% line. Oh, you'll never pay it off. Never. Isn't that crazy? Like, what world does this make sense? Where, like, you know, 30% in small chunks like 6,000 or 7,000 is okay, but moving the whole thing is not okay, right? Like, it's a crazy world there, boys. Look at that. So 18 grand, 30%, right? It's crazy. 8%. All right. So yeah, that's it for today, folks. The Korean Atlanta mentorship, and this is going to be zero. And how many months was it? 4.4 years. All right, so 50 plus 4.4, 50 divided by 12, 8.57 years. We are debt free. All right, and then 4,100 a month. That just feels like a lot more money than month to me. Am I right, boys and girls? Yep, that's right. Okay. So goal, more money than month, right? And we could also probably call this rich people problems. Okay, well that's it for today, folks. This is Korean Atlanta mentorship. Happy day. If you don't know what today is, I'm actually recording this on a Tuesday. So happy Tuesday to you all. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next video.